Hello and welcome to a tutorial for CSS and how to link CSS to an HTML file. I am doing this for middle school computers, but of course, as with any of my videos, I'm not precluding the possibility that I might use this video for some other class on down the line to teach you some very introductory CSS. So notice to start with, I'm at REPL, and so hopefully you should know how to get to REPL.it by now. And I started with my HTML1 assignment from last week. You can do that. It might be easier to create a new HTML, CSS, JavaScript REPL just because there's a line of code in there that I'm going to write out, but that it would already have given you. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and just delete all this. I'm just going to erase it all. So if you have anything there, you can delete it if you're following along. And I'm going to write a basic HTML website. I'm going to start by saying this is HTML. That's the HTML tag, and you begin by saying this is HTML. This is beginning of HTML code. Read whatever follows as HTML. It's a little bit superfluous. You don't need to do it, but a lot of people do it. One thing we're going to work on in this tutorial video is good formatting. Using good formatting so that the human eye can easily see where the divisions of your website are. If you don't do that, it's ugly and it makes everybody angry at you who's trying to read your code. So we want some good formatting. So notice I hit backspace there, hit enter. I'm going to put a space between line 1 and 3 so the human eye can see there's a space there and I'm starting a new division. Then I'm going to introduce you to the head tag. The head tag means this is the header of your HTML. Just like you have a head and a body, every HTML page has a head and a body. And so, and the head, what goes in the head is the brain of the website, the brain of your HTML page. And so things aren't going to appear on the actual page down below, but things still that the computer needs to know. A very popular head tag is title. Very popular head tag is title. Title actually guarantees what goes up here. That's it. It tells the computer what to put up here in the actual title of the page. And so in REPL, you're not going to see anything by putting anything there, but it's a popular HTML title. So I'm going to name it My Awesome Website right there. That's what I usually do. And then I'm going to end title on that same line. Notice that's clean. Remember, there's a space here and a tab here that lets me see, okay, this is falling under my head. Then the next thing that's really important is our link tag. A link tag links this file to other files. And so it's very important. It links this file to other files. And we're going to create a link from the index where we are right now. We're at index. We're going to create a link over to our style sheet, style.css. And so because it's a link, we're going to use a hyperlink reference, an href, and we're going to say equals style.css. Now, as long as this file here is in the same folder on your computer as this file here, you don't need to put any more than that. If this was somewhere else on your computer or somewhere else on the internet, you'd need to actually link it all the way over there. But right now, because style.css is in the same folder, we could just say style.css and the computer program knows to look in this folder first for that file name, right? But then we have to define the relationship, which is a relationship attribute. Remember, this is the name, and what's in purple is the attribute, and what's in gold is how it's defined. So we're going to create a relationship, and the relationship is style sheet. Let me make sure I typed that right by clicking over here. Yep, relationship equals style sheet, just like that. And then there's a third attribute you can type in there that I don't think is as important, but it's the type. There's an attribute called type, and the type equals CSS/text. And I actually think that needs to be in quotation marks as well. Yeah, once again, let me guarantee I did that right. Text/CSS. So I did it backwards. It's actually text/CSS. Okay, once again, I would welcome you to pause this video at any time you get stuck and just copy the code down the way it is in the video. So once again, what we have just done, and then, well, before I get there, we're going to close out our head tag. Notice the closing tag is at the same sort of horizontal axis there as the head tag. You guys say, actually, it's a vertical axis as the head tag. So yeah, once again, that's clean code, right? We don't want the head You know, I hate reading code where the head's like all the way over here. Don't do that. The head should be, the ending tag should be at the same level as the beginning tag, right? So what we've just done is we've created a head to our website, and we've created a title. We've said my awesome title, and then we've created a link to our style sheet. If we were going to write JavaScript, we would then create a link there too, but we're not going to do that. So no worries about that. So now that we've done that, let's bounce over to our style sheet. Remember, style is in CSS. And so before we start doing CSS, let me go over some things that are probably going to be on a quiz if there is a quiz for this assignment. And if you're in my middle school class, there is. First of all, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. In the early 2000s, several companies began to make internet browsers, and they made them all different. Some of you have probably already run into this where you've said, hey, in HTML, you've said, hey, make something red, and it came out like almost purple, right? Or you said, make it blue, and it comes out like green. And so that is just a problem with HTML, is that every internet browser and every machine interprets its colors differently. So they had to get together and they had to say, we need to create a way for everything to be uniform across all browsers, whether it be Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, and all machines, whether they be Apple machines, Google machines, Chromebooks, that's Google, Microsoft, whatever, right? So they created CSS. It's a companion language. You need to know that. I'm not sure why it put that there. Erase that if it did it to you. It's a companion language, which means it's not a full-throated programming language. HTML really isn't either. JavaScript is. And so, but it's there to help. Another thing we might call it is a reference language. It's there for HTML to use this as a reference and getting its style. And so how I like to put it is HTML is what your website is. CSS is how it looks. That's how you, so in CSS, you define how things are going to look. HTML, you're defining your content. CSS is how it looks. Remember, these will be on the quiz. So with that said, let me teach you some CSS. So in CSS, what you do is you are defining the attributes of your HTML tags. And you can even create a new tag. So I'm going to create a tag called Kevin. And so all you need to do is type the name of your tag right there on line 1. You could put your name there, or you could put whatever else you want to there. And then remember, and then we want to open a division. Remember, most coding is you can type it all on one line and the computer code will read it. Most computer code does not understand enters and spaces. It just reads over them. So we actually have to tell it when to begin and end the attributes for this division or for this new tag we've created. How we do that is we use these curly brackets, which is common among most coding languages. We use curly brackets. See that? So we have curly brackets, and we're saying everything we type between these curly brackets is going to define our new tag that we just invented. We just invented our own HTML tag named Kevin. Now we're going to tab in so that the human eye, the computer code doesn't care, but the human eye does. The human eye needs to be able to see where these attributes begin and end, so we tab them in. So I'm going to give you a few attributes here, and I'm going to copy them from another website I have here, just in the interest of time. Right here, boom, we're going to say anything named Kevin. The text color is going to be aqua blue, and it's going to have a 10-point margin from the edges of the page, and the font size is going to be 20 pixels. So now we're going to bounce over to the index page, and we're going to create our body. Right? And if we want to do headings, we could do like an H1 up here or whatever. Oh, actually, we have to do an H1 because in my style sheet, no, I called it Kevin. Okay, so we're going to create a body. We could create an H1 if we want. Once again, you need to be tabbed in here so your web page looks crisp and clean. We're going to create a body. And then inside our body, we're going to create a Kevin tag, and we're going to say hi. And then I'm going to end my Kevin tag with my wonderful /. See that? It's teal. Isn't that cool? Teal margin. So right here, color is aqua. Sorry, it's not teal, aqua. And it's 20-point font. So now we can change this to a 50 in my style sheet. Watch what happens on my index page. There we go. Now it's 50, right? Do you see that? So that's pretty cool. You can create your own tags, right? I can create a middle school tag. Am I spelling this correctly? Yep, middle school tag. Once again, open it, and then make sure it's closed and make sure everything that's an attribute of that is going in between, right? Make sure you tab in, and middle school is going to be color red, right? By the way, you can also specify the RGB encoding number for red, but that's if you know what that is, you can do that. You can type a number in there, a 6-digit number, and it will make it whatever hue that is. But we're just going to do this. We're going to leave out margin left. That doesn't really matter. And we're just going to do font size 100 pixels, right? And then we go back to our index, and now we're going to create. Remember, this is still in the body, so it needs to be tabbed in so our code looks clean. And we're going to say this is the middle school formatting, right? And we're going to end middle school. There we go. And I still haven't ended my body, so I'm probably going to do that. So once again, end body down here. Notice the ending tag is the same vertical alignment as the body tag. So there we go. But notice it didn't do a break, so we can add a break tag in there just for the heck of it. Break it down to the next line. So that's CSS. You just create your tag and then you give a bunch of attributes. So with that said, let me show you a few more things though that are important. Oh, and notice it gives you little pluses and minuses there. Actually, so we want to enter down, and we're gonna also a cool thing is we can change the formatting of other tags that already exist. So I've taught you how to create 2 tags out of the blue, but we can actually change the format of other tags. And so one of the most popular uses of this is HTML. And we're just changing, we're saying everything in our web page should at least have this in common, right? So when we create an HTML tag, we're just saying everything in HTML needs to have this in common. So right here, right, HTML begins here and ends all the way at the bottom, right? Which, by the way, that's bad code. I should have done that before. So the number one application of this is to put a background picture. So if you want a background that's going to cover your entire website, then you put it under HTML in your style sheet. And so you say any HTML website that is connected to the style sheet will have this background color. So I cheated. I copied this from another page that I worked on, but let me talk you through it. The attribute is background, and you use URL. This is where I get tripped up. And if you're putting a picture in your index HTML page, you use source. In CSS, you use URL, meaning this is its web address. Once again, you copy the image address. So if you do a Google image search, make sure you copy the image address. You don't copy the image. You don't copy where the image is housed, whatever website the image is housed on. You want the actual address where that lone picture exists on the internet. I used a picture of our campus here at Layton Christian Academy. So that's what this is. It's an address that points to where that is. It's on Christian Life Center's page. And then there's some attributes after it. No repeat, center, fixed. That just means you that's very important, so make sure you pause this and type that in there. But no repeat means you just want one picture. You don't want it to tile the picture. You don't want the one picture 40 times. You just want it once. Center means centered on the page. Fixed means give it a fixed location. Don't put it anywhere else. Fix it. And then background size is another thing, and we said cover. We want it to cover the whole page, right? So now when I run it, there we go. I have a picture of our campus in the background there. So, and it put it as the background and it covered the whole page and we don't have little tiles. Let me very quickly show you what happens if we sort of delete this. And then even if we delete all this right here. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, every line should end with a semicolon. Remember, computer coding IDs do not understand enters. So you need to put a semicolon there to say this line is done, this attribute is done. So do not forget these little semicolons. Chances are if you are having problems with this, you're forgetting your semicolons. That's the number one thing I find. So now we've deleted those attributes. Now watch, it zoomed it all the way in. Do you see that? So and it didn't center it, you know, so no repeat, center and fixed. And then down here, cover it. That makes it so you have the whole picture and it looks nice and it fits the picture to whatever your website is, which is a cool thing. So, so you can put other things in HTML. You can even put font colors in it and say the whole page should be, the font should be this color, but it's generally used for background pictures. And then the next thing we could do, and the last thing I want to teach you how to do, is we can actually create boxes. Notice that Kevin and middle school are still put up against the left and one right after each other. But when you go to most websites, they have little boxes and they have little text boxes everywhere. So the last thing I want to teach you how to do is create little text boxes. So now we have Kevin, font color is blue, and I'm actually just going to erase, well, I'm going to leave the margin in there. And the font size is 50 pixels. But what if we wanted it to be centered on the page and in a little colored box that's somewhat transparent? Well, let me show you how to do that. Once again, I'm going to copy and paste, but then we'll talk about it, right? So, so here we go. Bam. So I just created a header. Pause this video and type all that stuff in. Make sure you have your semicolons. Make sure you spell everything correctly. It should look like this. The numbers should be green. The words should be purple or blue. The attributes should be red, like that. So I just created a header box. Opacity is another word for how transparent it is. So I said I want it to be 75% see-through. That's why I said I want to be able to see through it 75%. I want its position to be absolute. That is a very important attribute right here. Position, absolute. Meaning I want it to absolutely be where I tell it to be. And then these top and left are actually further defined where I want the box to be. So I want the box to be 2% from the top of the page. That's what top means, 2% from the top. And I want it to be 30% from the left. Interestingly, you can also define those as pixels, but I wouldn't recommend it. You don't need to, because every browser is a different size, right? If you define it as pixels, then a browser that's a different amount of pixels is going to put it wonky places on the screen. So we just want it 2% over, down, and 30% left. The background color of our box, remember we're creating a text box, is navy. Whatever text is in the box needs to be centered in the box. And padding is just defines where the words are in relation to the edges of the box. So now I created a header box. So up here, I'm actually going to put the Kevin tag in the middle of my header box. So notice I tabbed Kevin over so I can see he's in the middle of the header, right? So now when I run it, there you go. See that? 30% over on our page. It creates a text box, and it's about 2% down right there. Kevin is the font. So the font's still very teal, but the background color is blue. Do you see that? So, so that creates a little text box. Now, if I go over here and I say I actually want it left 15%, it'll pull it over there. And now if I say I want it left 75%, it will put it on the far right, all the way over there. So I'm actually going to say 45, and I'll put it roughly towards the middle. So there you go. One more thing that's really cool with all this stuff is you can actually create, you can actually use all of this formatting we created on our style sheet on another page, another web page. All we need to do is we need to add a file here. You guys see that? And then we want to create page2.html. Make sure you end it with .html, right? And then we want to, once again, HTML, and we want to create a head, remember, clean code. Write our link, href equals style.css, and relationship equals style sheet. And once again, you can have the type there. It's not as important, but type equals text/CSS. So now we've created a link and your head, right? Create your body, and then we're going to put header, right? And then Kevin, right? But instead of hi, we're going to say goodbye, right? And end Kevin there, right? And then we're going to end our header and end our body. right? And then, of course, end our HTML. So end it all out, right? Make sure it's all ended, right? So, and then the next thing we're gonna have to do to show you how this works is create a link. We're gonna have to create a hyperlink. I'm gonna create in middle school, I'm gonna change that to click here for page 2, right there. So, and now I'm gonna, I have to create a, I have to create an anchor. Once again, notice how it's tapped in because it's falling under middle school. I need to create an anchor href equals. And remember, as long as it's in the same file, then you're fine. Then it will find it. You don't have to put a fancy web address there. Click here for page 2. And end the anchor tag. And back that up. Once again, clean code. We see where middle school ends and begins, and then anything in the middle school tag is tabbed in. So we're going to run it. Click here for page 2, and page 2 is going to say goodbye because page 2 is still linked. Notice the background picture is still there. The font's still all the same, but it's another page. Isn't that cool? So you can write one style sheet and use it for 800 websites, right? All you have to do is create a link to that style sheet and all your style is there. This allows you, by the way, to keep from writing code over and over and over again. This is also another reason why style sheets are helpful because you could just write one line of code, you can define the style once, and then you can use it across 50 web pages. So, yep, hopefully you got some of this. Hopefully you understood. I look forward to seeing the end result. I want you to create, I think in the assignment, 2 text boxes or 2 boxes. See if you can't put a picture in a box. That might be a fun thing, right? See if I can't put a picture inside of a text box there. Instead of text, so that might be a fun thing, which you can totally do. So yeah, let me know what problems you're having. I hope this was helpful to you. It's kind of fun creating all these styles. So good luck. Look forward to seeing the result.